we're back. We took a week off because life does happen,
Yes.
and we had to rearrange some things, but it's okay because we're back this week.
Yes.
And of course, tonight is the big game.
Big game.
You know, it's a new season basically. You
Absolutely.
know, you build the whole season, all of August, all of summer, all of even last Christmas time.
Right.
You're building towards this moment where it is win or go home.
Absolutely. You know, it's a lot of fun. Playoff times in Oklahoma,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of fun. And as you mentioned, you know, you kind of start, you know, from, you know, the day after the state championship game, you know, of 22. You know, you start preparing for 23, and so it really never ends. And as you mentioned, a lot of countless hours, you know, involved to get you here.
And you know, I'm a fan of the playoffs because, you know, unfortunately, but unfortunately, I always love, okay, there's this tiebreaker, there's this tiebreaker.
Right.
If this happens, this happens. For us, it was a pretty easy situation.
pretty easy,
We
yeah.
had to beat Ponca, which we
Right.
did
Mhm.
very well, and it was a fun game last
Right.
week or 2 weeks ago. And so we're now set. And really, what I'm looking at the bracket right now, so we'll talk a little bit about the bracket. We'll talk a little bit about Ponca, and then we'll talk about, of course, who we're playing. So it's exactly who we expect to see having home games this week. We got Choctaw, we got Deer Creek, we got Stillwater, and we got Muskogee. That's who we expected. That's who the paper expected. Now, the visiting teams, to me, as a fan and as a broadcaster, I'm going to be looking at how they compare to these teams. We got Putnam City, we played, and they're playing Stillwater. We got Sand Springs playing us. Okay,
Right.
and I've watched a lot of Sand Springs over the last week just to kind of see what they're about. They're going to give us a test. We'll talk about them. Of course, we got Ponca City is going to play Muskogee. And they won in a tight overtime game against Putnam West. And then, of course, we got, it looks like we got
Bartlesville.
Bartlesville, and they're going to play Deer Creek.
Correct.
Okay, they apparently didn't put it on my piece of paper like they're supposed to. This is from the official website here. And so that's what we got going on, of course. Well, let's go ahead and talk about Ponca City and how that was our final preparation game.
Right. You know, as we, you know, kind of broken record, but like we've said in the last several weeks on the show, every single week gets a little harder, you know, and it's kind of that was the case. You know, Ponca City, you know, really good football team, obviously good enough to win a playoff game. You know, they're still in the quarterfinals themselves, as you mentioned, you know, playing tonight. Really good team. You know, really proud of how our kids played. You know, started off really hot. You know, I wouldn't have thought that we'd be up, you know, 41-6 after the first quarter. You know, to score 41 points in a quarter was pretty impressive. I was really impressed with our kids and just the way they're able to just execute and do so very quickly. You know, and then again a running clock. You know, in the second half. You know, was really impressive. You know, our offensive players of the game were Juju Smith, 4 touchdowns. You know, pretty easy. I think he had 5 catches for four touchdowns, which is pretty good if you're able to do that. Jace Robinson was also with the offensive line, did a fantastic job, graded out the highest. Our line did a really good job. You know, obviously quarterback play with Cash Williams did an excellent job. LT Simmons and Mayor Morgan also had great games as well. And so, you know, could have given to a lot of guys, but those are guys that stood out the most on the stat sheet. You know, and then defensively, a guy that, you know, kind of has shown up here recently and continues to get better is Tay Bullock as our defensive player of the game. Did a fantastic job, as well as somewhat of a newcomer on defense is VR Ortiz with the D-line, and he had just a monster game, had a bunch of big hits, and you know, forced fumble on special teams, and just did a really good job. Special teams with Deshaun Hine with the fumble recovery, and Mikey Sims as well. You know, could give it to Terry Jennings with just some really good kicks all night, and just did a really good job. So, you know, overall, very good team. You know, good team win. As you mentioned, we had to win that game to get home field advantage. And so we're able to go and do that and do so pretty convincingly. I was really proud of our kids. You know, I still feel like our best game's still out there. You know, I feel like our kids can still continue to improve and get better each and every week. And hopefully, you know, we've done that through the bye week and then going into this week's preparation for tonight's game versus Sand Springs, as you mentioned, be a very tough matchup.
Okay, I had very similar things to you for players of the game. I had the triple-headed monster, which I'm calling LT. The mayor,
Yeah.
and of course Juju.
Yeah, very tough.
And it's, you know, when you have 3 people like that,
Right.
first of all, it makes every other skill position better,
Right.
and it just makes it fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
On defense, I had 18, and
Yep.
I
Tay Bullock. Yep.
Tay Bullock. And he was on special teams too, I think, right?
Yeah, he did a great job on special teams as well.
And Sims, that's who I had on. He had a monster.
Mad Mikey Sims.
And I was, because I could see him in the camera when he punched that ball free.
Yeah.
He was so freaking excited about it.
Like,
Now I feel bad because I had a mess up on my sheet,
Uh-huh.
and so I called the wrong name, even though I was like, this can't be that guy. But when you're in the moment,
Right.
you're doing the best you can to get the numbers off. So I feel
Mikey's a great teammate. That's why everybody gets so excited for him because I mean he's the nicest kid in the world, a great teammate, great in the locker room, very encouraging. Runs scout team every day. Just tears it up on Monday nights. If you come to a Monday night game, you'll see Mikey Sims is going crazy. So he's a future star for sure.
So on the whatever I got playing over our faces, I definitely have that where he punches that ball free because I wanted to make up for missing his name on the actual broadcast.
Absolutely.
All right, so that was an exciting game, prepping for this game. And again, Sand Springs, according to the newspaper anyways, they predict Stillwater and Muskogee to be in the finals, which I know that this west side, we don't believe that. I think Deer Creek can play. I know he can play.
Right.
But I know that's how the paper does. And so Sand Springs, they're number 5 of who's left. So tell us a little bit about Sand Springs and what they bring to the table and what we should be looking for on matchups or stuff that you can talk about. Of course, not all the details.
Sand Springs very very well coached team. Obviously, we're familiar with them. We played them last 3 years or 4 years. In the last 2 years in the playoffs and do a really good job. As you mentioned, the people have them as a top 4 team, some people have as a top 5 team. They're very well respected team, very good. They're 8-3. Their only 3 losses are to Stillwater, Muskogee, and Bixby. So that's a pretty good resume of beating everyone else across the state and doing a fantastic job. Really strong at the quarterback position. They got a kid that's OSU baseball commit at quarterback. The offensive line has a 4-star offensive lineman. They're real big and physical. Do a really good job. They have 2 running backs that are phenomenal. They're great pass catchers as well as runners. And the receiving core is always, really, really good, really talented, and can stretch the field. And then defensively, they just have 11 guys that are coached well. They swarm to the football. They're always going to be schemed up, well versus us. And, and always have a wrinkle. We're used to that playing Sand Springs. They'll always have, multiple trick plays and stuff like that. Yeah. We play them, and they'll put together a game plan to try to win the game. Got a great deal of respect for them and their program. They do a fantastic job. And as you mentioned, you can make an argument that they're a top 4 team, and do that. And, as far as, predictions and all that kind of stuff, playoffs, everybody's 0-0, every week. And so it doesn't really matter what, someone thinks, and we're just trying to worry about trying to get better each and every week. And, felt like we've done that over the course of the past 5 weeks. It's like, so can we continue to take one more step forward, and that's it. So we're trying to, we treated Monday like it was our last Monday, Tuesday like it was our last Tuesday, etc. And that's not, obviously we're fighting for more, but you can't at this point in the season, just take things for granted and hope that next week we'll cover this. It's like, no, you have to cover it this week. You have to make sure you're prepared this week because you have to live each day like there is no, tomorrow. And so playoffs are a lot of fun. It's obviously, the stress is heightened, intensity is heightened, but also I think that, kind of the enjoyment of it is heightened as well where, it's like, man, everything you've done, as you mentioned, is in preparation for this. And these guys have been working for this for, the past 11 months, to get this opportunity. And you got to go perform. And so our kids historically have done that. Really proud of our guys, our senior class being able to play one last game at Bill Jensen. That means a lot to them, playing in front of Choctaw and our hometown fans. And historically have done pretty good. They've won a lot of games and lost very few on this field. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that we leave it the right way and come out with a win tonight.
Okay. Well, that sounds good because, to me, we had senior night already.
Right.
But this is a true senior night.
Yeah, this is it.
Because this is their last opportunity on this football field to leave with the scoreboard saying that they're winners.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of a weird deal, for seniors. Obviously, those of you guys that have played, I've done it, everyone's done it, and it's kind of a sad deal. And you try to tell them that you really can't experience or know until you experience it for yourself is that, the next time that you go to watch a game in the stadium, you'll have to pay to get in. And it's pretty wild to think about with those guys, and that's not a slight. That's everywhere across the country. And I tell them, obviously, those guys call me, and I'd love to have them. We'll get them past gate or whatever.
Right.
But officially, that's it. They're going to be grown-ups. Next time they come in, and so it's kind of a weird deal. And those guys have done so much for our program, and bled so much of the blue and gold, and had so much success. But with that said, it's like, man, that's the truth. And and what's crazy is Choctaw never hosted a playoff game in 6A, and this is our 4th year in a row. So these guys have known nothing but hosting a playoff game, from their freshman, junior, sophomore, now senior year, at home, which is a pretty special deal.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of brought this up. They're going to have to pay to play here, but this program has we have a lot of people that don't stop at high school anymore.
Right.
We have a lot of people who go on and get some cash money to go
absolutely
to school, D2 and D1 facilities, and so this is an opportunity for them one last opportunity to show what they got on the field.
And that kind of gets lost sometimes too, because obviously it's in preparation of the game, and people are excited about the game and playoffs. But also, this is a time where college coaches have a little bit more time, and the deeper you get in the playoffs, and you can have colleges like they're ready for bowl season, or they're ready for whatever division that they're in, and so you have a lot more eyes on you during games, obviously because there's less games across the state, and so you get featured more, and so it's a great opportunity for you to show off your talents. And skill set. And another, kind of unforeseen benefit of playing in the playoffs that we talk about with our guys, if you do the math, we have our freshmen with us, for 4 extra weeks, God willing, a year, where you're going 4 rounds in the playoffs, and you start multiplying that 4 times 4 years. That's 16 weeks. A football season lasts 10 weeks. And so if you're a freshman in a program like Choctaw, you'll get to play basically almost 5.5 years of football in 4 years that you would at another school. And so we see those added benefits of guys too, just more practice time, more time being able to develop in the weight room and the film room and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of benefits of it, but all that say, we need to go win tonight.
Yep, we definitely need to go win tonight. And as I got the brackets. I'm always filling out the brackets, but there's no point in filling out the bracket till you feel it out on the field, right?
Right, absolutely.
So I'm going to be talking about the bracket when we got that victory, that W in the books, and we'll talk about next week. And during the broadcast, and speaking of broadcast, we don't always get an opportunity to broadcast during the playoffs.
Yeah.
I did get permission at the time of this filming. I just checked my email and I got permission to film, so we will be putting this on with video.
Awesome.
Yellow Jackets TV from home, which is nice for my students, an opportunity.
Right.
Because your season ends, my what I call the away team, which is kind of like my varsity filming crew, their season ends, and most of them are usually seniors, so that's the last time that they get to do it. So they are super excited that they have at least one more opportunity to go out there and film and produce this show. And so that's really where it's at. We could talk all day long about all kinds of things, but I think we've covered it, and I think I'm looking forward to next week. And I plan on talking about a W. Just make sure that's on you.
We want to go practice on Thanksgiving, so we need to go.
I already got it planned to be here Friday, so
okay.
So we need to do this.
That's the deal, then. We just need to go win.
We just need to win, so you can make my dreams come true. Okay. All right. Until next week. Stay classy, Choctaw.